What if the key to your legacy isn't doing more, but building a system that works for you? By treating your marketing and sales as a system, you decouple your time from your results, right? So you're not doing one-on-one anymore, you're doing one-to-many, asynchronously. You are no longer the person who records the podcast, you are the authority who owns an ecosystem. And this is the trust shortcut. Creating, reorganize, creating, reorganize, creating, reorganize, creating, reorganize. If you are a new or an aspiring founder of your small business and have no time to waste, or really struggle to do your social media marketing, you will enjoy our Creating Reorganized show. In my day job as a psychology professor, I teach my bachelor and master students in real life how to reorganize processes in a goal-directed and future-proof way in companies. And that's what I have done for a living as a former IT strategy consultant. For my own career coaching business on the side, I can only dedicate a fraction of my time because, I prioritize care work for my little children. I face the same or similar challenges like all small business owners. So I applied all my experience and knowledge to create my other video podcast, Postdoc Transformation Show, to streamline my social media marketing and to boost sales of my coaching, e-courses, and affiliate products or services. I strategically capitalize on professional tools to scale my impact according to my vision of life. Listen and subscribe to this Creating Reorganized show so you will learn to do the same for your own business, to build the know, like, and trust factor, and to boost sales of your services or products. Please also ask your business-specific questions because for the next seasons, I envision interview episodes with aspiring and new founders like you, if you want to get your Creating Reorganized according to your vision of life. As in every episode, at the end, I will wrap everything up from a psychological method, theory, or concept point of view. So stay tuned until the end of this episode, especially if you are my bachelor and master student in real life. I would love for you to take notes and maybe even already recognize my arguments. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, and now, welcome to our show, Creating Reorganized. Dear Creating Reorganizer, welcome back to the Creating Reorganized show. This is episode 22. And if you are looking for a strategy to market and sell your products and services 24/7 without burnout, this is for you. Let's tackle the ultimate goal of every ambitious business owner, scaling your legacy. So in episode 21, we deep dived into how to develop new business offers based on data, not drama. And we also looked at the Kano model in the previous episode as linked in the show notes to figure out what your audience actually needs. But once you have that perfect offer, you face a new terrifying hurdle, the scaling trap. You think, if I grow, I have to work twice as hard. I'll miss my kids' bedtime, their school, parental events, and then you think, I'll be back in no time in this burnout zone that I tried so hard to escape. And I can see that risk. So you need to scale in a way that you don't have to trade in your time one-on-one, right? So you fear that scaling means losing your human connection. We discussed that in episode 18. And you don't want to become a generic invisible AI factory. And you may be worried that if you aren't the one doing every single edit, every post, and every email, the quality will drop and your trust will vanish. Well, let me tell you, this is the psychological state known as scaling anxiety. We feel that ourself is the only thing that provides value. Does that ring a bell? Well, using IT strategically will help that everything that you delegate outside of your own zone will be done just the way like you would do. This is why I'm telling you, scaling is actually an IT strategy problem, not a working harder problem. What if the key to your legacy isn't doing more, but more like building a system that works for you. Today, I'm taking you behind the scenes of my own white label service. I'm showing you how to move from being the operator to being the architect. So, are you ready to build your authority while you enjoy your life? Are you ready to stop being the bottleneck in your own business? Today, we turn your unique expertise into a scalable sales machine. So let's do Creating Reorganized. Let me tell you a moment when I realized I couldn't do it all. Okay, so I'm a Chinese-Indonesian immigrant who became a German citizen. So my Asian cultural heritage taught me that excellence is a non-negotiable. I learned how to be a perfectionist, always the best, blah, blah, blah. And that was so draining. And honestly, yes, of course, I became a professor because of that. But I know that I could have enjoyed my life more than I did. Okay, so in the lab, I was the one coding the experiments, running the participants, and analyzing the data. I thought that being the best means that I have to do everything by myself, every step. And, I was validated. That's the vanity here. I won junior research awards and I had merit-based scholarships because I was a high-performance soloist. And in my psychology classes in real life, now as a mom of 2 kids and looking back at my career, seeing how corporate companies are treating people, young people, when they are advancing in their careers, I often joke that yes, I know, I prefer working alone because that is how my personality works. But as a leader in business, I learned that I cannot do everything at a competitive level. I rather attract valuable team members and keep them by treating them well. So they can do whatever I delegate to them, and I do whatever I need to do to trailblaze our team, right? So that was a painful learning curve, honestly. Giving away some of my tasks and seeing others grow. Let's pause for a moment to respect those who sponsor this valuable episode. After this short salute to our sponsors, we now return to our inspiring episode. That was a painful learning curve, honestly. Giving away some of my tasks and seeing others grow. But this is a personal growth moment that I think everyone should have earlier than me in my 30s. So now I'll share a personal example, okay? So 1 month after my PhD in neuroscience, I leaped into the corporate world as an IT analyst at Aldi South. And that is by all means a crazy step far away from science. So suddenly, I wasn't just in a lab. All my academic achievements, my reputation, my social behavior was worthless and also useless. I was part of a global supply chain at Aldi, and that really humbled me in many ways. Starting from scratch, when you are already at a decent top performing position, being the oldest, most decorated, and at the bottom of the power level, I used to feel like being plunked on, honestly. And that's how my husband still makes jokes about that. And I learned that perfection, scientific rigor, doesn't scale in business, but standard operating procedures do. So if every store manager across the globe did not do the things in a standardized way, but instead hijack everything and doing it their way, the whole giant would collapse, right? So the success of Aldi and also Trader Joe's in the US is built on the system, not the individual. And for me, the best reality check, and I credit Aldi South for helping me to become a better team player. I really do. There, I said it. And after 2 years or so, I was bored because I eventually became very good at my job, and I had the feeling that I wasn't really learning a lot anymore, professionally at least. So in my exit interview, they even offered me a manager role, but I declined politely because as a strategic psychologist, I could already foresee or hypothesize how things would unfold in that specific team that they offered me to lead. And fast forward now to the last job I had before I was appointed as a professor for industrial and occupational psychology. So when I moved to Accenture, as an IT strategy consultant, because they saw my potential at another employer, I saw the value of strategy at an even larger scale. We were building multi-million euro systems for global players. And we talked about architecture, modularity, and redundancy. We did not want the business to rely on one hero employee, but we wanted the system to be the hero so that everyone can work on that. And I think that is a storyline that still applies to today, where people are made redundant because AI can do the work. Right. So, well, when I became a professor and a mom in 2014, my soloist identity that was much ingrained was again challenged. And thankfully, my business experience had prepared me well. I have 2 kids, a professorship, and a coaching business. I could not be the best if I do everything by myself. So I chose to focus on my kids who need me and learning the ins and outs of my professorship because, yes, I always wanted to become a professor. So this was my chance, okay? So my coaching business was marketing itself, luckily, through word of mouth and loyal clients. And I thought that for the mid and long-term perspective, I want to refocus on my business coaching or my business as such again. So with my business, I was kind of in stealth mode, and I started to build my own technological marketing and sales system, scalable and integratable, so to speak. Okay. So in one of my lectures of industrial and occupational psychology, I also focus on designing systems, and I teach my students that systems aren't just the tech side, but it also includes the social system, that is the human side. So building on top of that, and as a master example to share as a living case study with my students in real life, I pivoted from being the IT analyst to being the legacy architect. So I started my first video podcast, Postdoc Transformation Show, to be the marketing arm for my career coaching business at graduate schools. Eventually, it became my showroom for Creating Reorganized, because I realized that to serve scientists leaping into business, I needed a way to produce high quality content without spending endless hours a week in an editor, right? So I began to apply all my IT strategic expertise to my own brand. I didn't want a generic AI avatar. I wanted a face and my voice to be everywhere 24/7, 365 while I was spending quality time with my kids. And that worked so well that other business owners wanted to learn from me how I market my services via a business promotional video podcast. And that's probably how you were attracted to this show as well. That is how Creating Reorganized was born. I built a system or integrated tech stack that uses Descript, Podbean, Metricool as modular units. I started architecting. Okay, so once I saw the return on investment in my own business, the 14K downloads, the high-touch leads, I realized that my established business owners, clients, needed this system too. They did not need another course. They needed a white label legacy engine. And we are moving from doing the work to owning the system that is the transition from a founder to a leader. All right, creative organizer, you know the drill. Now it's time to get the notebooks out. To scale without burnout, you need to stop thinking about tasks and start thinking about systems theory. So we're looking at Ludwig von Bertalanffy's general systems theory from 1968. So as a psychology professor and former IT strategist, I really do think that this concept is essential for business owners as a mindset shift, okay? So a system is a set of interacting units which forms an integrated whole. And von Bertalanffy identified 3 key elements of any successful system that apply directly to your legacy. Number 1, that's the pipeline, input, process, and output, all right? So in your business, your video podcast is not just a video, it's a subsystem of your sales activation system. This is your unique expertise, your unAIable soul. Process, this is the black box where the raw recording becomes a costly premium signal, probably made by Descript, maybe done with us. This is where many of you get stuck and you are trying to be the process. You don't have to. You can delegate that. Output, this is the 24/7, 365 trust-building content on, for example, Podbean, and the leads in your active campaign funnel. So you have to have a system, whatever you will take. I can only tell you, I'm trusting my systems because I'm using them and I'm recommending to you. Before we continue, we want to appreciate those who financed this valuable episode for you. Thanking our advertisers for their financial support, we are happy to return to our inspiring episode. Number 1, that's the pipeline, input, process, and output. And then you have key element number 2. That's the negative entropy. Okay, so in physics, entropy is the tendency for things to fall into disorder. And in business, entropy equals to burnout. Negative entropy is the energy you put into the system to keep it organized. That's a whole effort that needs to have a payout, a return on invest, right? By building a white label podcasting service for you to have Creating Reorganized, I am providing a solution for negative entropy for my clients. I take the chaos of the raw ideas and organize them into a structured output using Descript and Metricool. Let me know by commenting Descript or Metricool if you want to know a deep dive how I use them in my Creating Reorganized show. All right, and then there's the key factor number 3, differentiation and specialization. In healthy systems, different parts do different things. Like in business or in your body, your heart doesn't try to be your lungs, obviously, okay? So your brain is not your muscle, not your kidney. In your business, you should be the face and the strategy that equals the brain, while your tech stack handles the distribution and automation that is your nervous system. And I really hope that this rings a bell as a reminder to my biopsychology classes for my students in real life. So let's map the Creating Reorganized service with our partners. When I build a white label service for a client, I'm acting as their systems engineer. I look at their Kano model, is episode 21, and I map out the tech stack to fulfill those needs. So here's the distribution hub, which is Podbean in my case. This is the heart of the system. It pumps out your message to the world. Okay, so if the audio fails, your system fails. And believe me, the audio is even more important than the video when it comes to episodes and a podcast player. I'm not talking short form videos that attract your audience to your podcast player. For them, the video is more important. But for the nurturing via a video podcast, your audio is more important. And then we can have the content creation factory, which is Descript, right? So this is the lungs of the system, oxygenating your raw content. We use Underlord to prune the messy while keeping the real and required. The more value your content has, the more it will be retained. And then you have the nervous system, which is Metricool. And this tracks the spokes, which we already talked about in episode 20, as linked in the show notes. So it provides the feedback loop necessary for the system to adjust and survive. So by treating your marketing and sales as a system, you decouple your time from your results, right? So you're not doing one-on-one anymore, you're doing one-to-many asynchronously. You are no longer the person who records the podcast, you are the authority who owns an ecosystem. And this is the trust shortcut that we already talked about in episode 14 at scale. When a lead sees your system working flawlessly, they subconsciously think, if your marketing is so organized, so flawlessly, your service must be incredible. And that's the halo effect, right? So that is the psychological power of a well-architected legacy that works for you years and years. All right, so let's get practical. I want to show you exactly how the Creating Reorganized podcasting service handles the process so you can stay in the input zone just once a month for a day, for example. So imagine you are an established consultant. You are brilliant, you are busy, and you have zero desire to learn how to use a timeline editor. You want the return on invest without the friction. So here's our systems-based workflow. That's the strategy session, that's the architecture. We don't just record. We identify must-be topics and your delighted stories. We built the blueprint based on my Accenture strategy experience. And we aren't just making a podcast. We are building a sales funnel in a strategic way. And that is why you get the scripts that you can talk about or even read from a teleprompter. That is my strategic input that you don't get if you just hire another editor. We do the recording session. That's the input. You show up for one day, once a month, and we record the script that I prepare for you. You talk to me, and I am your strategic human in the lead. I can ask you questions that only you can answer, and I will let you shine. That is my job, and that is what I do all day long. And we capture your passion, your accent, your unique point of view, and this is the only part that requires you. And then you have the content factory, which is the transformation. Let's pause for a moment to respect those who sponsor this valuable episode. Thanking our sponsors for the financial support, we are happy to return to our valuable episode. We capture your passion, your accent, your unique point of view, and this is the only part that requires you. And then you have the content factory, which is the transformation. So my team then takes over that raw file, and we use Descript to prune the arms and the arms. We use Underlord to find the golden quotes that will become your LinkedIn spokes, and we ensure that your human connection, episode 18, is amplified, not lost. And we even can fix the words using the no editing hack, or even dub your voice in the language of your choice to ensure that you sound as sharp as you are in whatever country of choice. So now we can talk about the distribution. That is the output. Okay, so if you do not post, nobody will see it. We ensure your show is on every podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and also on every relevant social media platform like TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Threads, I don't know, whatever you want. So we schedule your metrical spokes for the next 30 days so that we can have a touch point every month to see which of the content resonated most with your leads. Then we need to have a lead generation. That is where the conversion happens. So we build out your Typeform quizzes and connect them to your active campaign nurture sequences. So this way, if someone gets interested and attracted into your world, we can convert them into a client over our email campaigns in active campaign, for example. And that is also AI boosted. So the result is you spend only one day a month and you have a 24/7, 365 visibility machine. You have scaled your legacy without adding a single hour of friction to your life outside of this one day a month. And I did this for myself with my Post-op Transformation and Creating Reorganized show. And I see that my downloads hit 14K while I'm prioritizing my kids' hobbies, cooking dinner and doing the household chores. So if you have more time at your hands, well, imagine what you could do with that time. Okay, here's a strategic warning. Scaling requires systems trust. You can use all the tools that I'm recommending in a free tier, and trust me, they will be working. But if you don't know how to use them properly, they will not help you in your marketing message, right? So you have to trust the black box in the process. If you cannot do this, well, we are here to help you. If you try to micromanage the edits, you are back to being the operator and the bottleneck, and this is probably not where you want to be. So always use strategic data from all your social media platforms, like in Metricool, to verify your system's success so that you can stay in your zone of genius. The legacy is your message, not your editing skills. To build this legacy machine, we use a modular tech stack that allows for maximum return on invest with minimum burnout. And every partner is a specialized unit in our system. So we use Podbean. That is your global stage. It hosts the hub and provides data to prove your legacy is growing. And I trust it with both of my shows because it never let me down. So far, in 3 years of podcasting, Podbean has always been reliable. And it is the storage unit of our legacy. Using Descript, you can control your quality. It allows us to keep the real you while removing the messy. You can even use their teleprompter feature, but with me on your side, You would probably sound natural anyway. And Underlord is their AI-boosted agent that is your junior editor that never sleeps. It's the transformation unit. Every transformation creates data that you need to control. And trust me, I have already been in many transformations. In every transformation, we need data to see whether we are okay or not. Metrical is your return on invest dashboard. It allows us to control the spokes, as we talked about in episode 20, across LinkedIn, Pinterest, and social media, etc. So monitoring your social media activities via Metrical, for example, ensures that your legacy is seen where your clients live. It's your feedback unit. And then, of course, you can have your knowledge vault in Thinkific. So once a podcast has built the trust, this is where your leads will go to buy your premium expertise in a professional environment. See, you are a consultant. They want to learn more. And this is how you can monetize your expertise. You can do either coaching, consulting, or teaching. And then we can have ActiveCampaign and Typeform. That is your quiet sales machine. We already discussed that in episode 17. They ensure that no lead is left behind. You don't know the journey of every lead. Some want to buy soon. Some are still not ready to buy. And maybe you don't have the time to wait, but AI does. So if you're using Typeform and ActiveCampaign, then you can be sure that every lead is accompanied and segmented on the journey. So when they are ready to buy, you can jump in. All the while, you can live according to your vision of life. All right? So they are the relationship captains that work for you when you are off duty, when you are living your life. Taken together, this isn't just a list of tools. It's a cohesive ecosystem. Each partner fulfills a strategic role in the Kano model of your business. So I know some of you are listening and realizing that you've been trying to do the whole system yourself, or at least parts of that. Doing it yourself is a sure ticket to burnout if you are not an IT strategist, if you are not comfortable under the hood, so to speak. You are trying to be the heart, the lungs, and the nervous system. Well, you are exhausted, obviously. So this is why I launched the Creating Reorganized podcasting service. I know the drill, and we are a premium white label done-for-you solution. We take your raw expertise and apply my IT analyst standards operating procedures to build your legacy engine. We handle the strategy, the tech, the editing, the distribution, and also the data analysis. We build the process so that you can focus on being the authority and the expert. And because I am a professor and a mom first, I only take a few exclusive clients each season to ensure that premium quality. If you want a human in the lead system that turns your personal brand into an automated sales engine, check out the link in the show notes to apply. So here's your actionable prompt. Identify your bottleneck. What is the one thing in your content creation process that you hate doing? Is it the editing, the social media scheduling, the email follow-up? Now, look at the systems theory from today. These are the key factors. So, you need to discern, is that task an input, only you can do it, or a process, a system, or someone else can do it? I bet that will be an insight for you. Sign up for my Creating Reorganized newsletter and tell me what your bottleneck is. I will help you look at it with my IT strategist hat and find a way to systemize it. I am Miss Efficiency. Trust me. So don't let a process stop your legacy. All right. Thank you for joining me for this behind the scenes look. Remember, you aren't building a podcast. You are building an ecosystem for your vision of life. So check out episode 14 for the trust shortcut, episode 13 for the supply chain of success. And obviously, I will earn a small commission if you are following all my affiliate links for Podbean, Descript, Thinkific, ActiveCampaign, Typeform, and Metrical in the show notes. Using them helps me keep this show free while I live my Creating Reorganized life with my family. I'll see you in episode 23 where we talk about monetizing your message. I'm Eleonore Soei-Winkels, happy creating reorganized according to your vision of life. Do you want to start your own side business as a runway for your better future? then you will benefit from our free business readiness quiz as linked in the show notes. Thank you for listening to our Creating Reorganized show. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, share it with your business friends, and leave a review on your favorite podcast player. Your feedback helps me as a small business owner to serve more small business owners for free, so thank you. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, and now I wish you a happy creating reorganized according to your vision of life.